Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and thanks for checking the video out, making some time to spend with me. Always very grateful for that and never take it for granted. Guys, today I've been wanting to do this video for actually 4 or 5 months now. I want to talk about the topic and sort of discuss this in detail. If there's ever going to get another tournament won pitching and flipping. It's like pitching and flipping used to be a dominant tournament winning technique, you know, in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, actually even up in the mid 2000s. But it has fell by the wayside, and it's a non-factor in tournaments now in the advent of spotlighting for bass. So we're going to get into that topic today and discuss that in detail. Also, guys, real quick before we get started, just want to invite everybody out there, if you haven't had a chance, to consider becoming a member here of Intuitive Angling. Members get extra videos that are not seen by the public every week, access to my personal email address for your fishing questions on some memberships. And if you're interested, just check it out by going to my YouTube homepage, hit the join button for information, and much appreciated you guys doing that, and also using all the links in the description of each video. So appreciate it. Okay, guys, man, flipping and pitching is my love in bass fishing. You know, the guy that taught me about most everything I know or knew and learned about bass fishing early in my career, Terry Thomas from here in Missouri, was a master flipper. I got a chance to see Terry in action and learn up front, you know, the art and the science of flipping, which it really is. And it became a predominant technique for me. Most every tournament I've ever won, except for one tournament, has come pitching and flipping. And this was also the time period, the 80s, 90s, 2000s, when Denny Brower, Tommy Biffle, a lot of the top flippers really built their careers around pitching and flipping. It was a dominant technique. It won so many tournaments. It was a dominant tournament winning technique for sure for 20 years and in all the different tournaments. Doesn't matter what level it was. But anyway, is a tournament ever going to get won again? In the advent of forward-facing sonar, spotlighting for bass and all that type of stuff, I'm going to say no. That's right off the bat. I mean, the answer is yes and no. It's no as long as spotlighting continues to be legal in our tournaments. Yes, if spotlighting is removed from the tournaments, which hopefully it will be, you know, before too much longer. But until that gets to that point, it is going to be a non-factor. And that's so sad. Here's the reason why that is sad. And anyone that is a student of the sport or that loves the sport or that understands the sport, let me explain to you why it is a tragedy that flipping and pitching are a non-factor in bass fishing tournaments anymore. Flipping and pitching is the ultimate bass fishing technique. It's the truest, most purest art form of bass fishing there is. Because the reason I say that is, in order for somebody to catch bass pitching and flipping, you are up close to your quarry. And in order to get a fish to hit up close, there's got to be so many variables that fall in line. It's like your boat positioning has got to be just right. Your casting and your casting angles have to be right. All of your equipment, as far as your lure profile, size, color, the weight of the lure, everything like that has to be just in line. The pitch and the flip has to be just in line according to the direction the wind's blowing, the sunlight angle, all that type of stuff. There's water clarity factors to consider. There's the type of cover to consider. It's any piece of cover that you're flipping and pitching, it has to be broke down into a sort of a microcosm of a piece of cover. For example, if you're flipping a flooded bush, there's 50 different places that the fish can actually position around that bush. They can be on the outside, within a foot, 2 feet, 3 feet, 5 feet. They can be suspended in the bush. They can be in the middle of the bush. They can be on an isolated limb of it. They can be on certain bushes that are in just the right type of water, or the ones that have half of them have green leaves, half of them have dead leaves. There's just an endless amount of variables to consider when you're pitching and flipping. Therefore, in my opinion, the most intelligent, highly skilled, true bass anglers in the history of the sport are the pitchers and the flippers, because you have got to do everything right. You've got to have an understanding of the bass on an intimate level. It's the same way with hunting, guys. It's like, I don't have much respect for hunters or killers, I call them, that sight these deer out from freaking, hundreds and hundreds of yards away and kill them through a scope and say they're a hunter. A true hunter, as classified by the way the Native Americans approached it, is gauged by how close that you can get to that animal before you take it. And in order to get close to a deer or whatever, you have to be an expert at stealth and camouflage and stalking and tracking. And then everything has got to come together perfect before you can get close to that particular animal. It's the same in bass fishing. That's why flipping and pitching is the most, I don't want to say it's the most difficult technique to learn, but the entire spectrum of pitching and flipping that involves not only where the fish are located, but the structure and the water and the environmental aspects, the lures, the line, the presentation of the pitch and flip and the accuracy that's required. That's what makes it a true art form in fishing. So for that technique, which is the foundation of bass fishing, to be completely a non-factor in tournaments anymore, that is a tragedy of epic proportions in our fishing. It's like we have devolved into seeing true artists like Tommy Biffle and Denny Brower win tournaments pitching and flipping, to see now guys just staring down at a screen with a freaking minnow on a spinning rod, casting out there at nothing other than what they can see at a screen. It's like, it's an insult to the fish, it's an insult to the fisheries, and people should be embarrassed for doing it, in my opinion. So anyway, hopefully one of these days we'll get back to the reality and get grounded again, and put all this craziness and this dark period of our sport behind us, the forward-facing sonar era, and get back to the times when tournaments are won pitching and flipping, fishing a spinnerbait, fishing a square bill, fishing a topwater, true artistic bass fishing techniques that define the tradition and the heritage of the sport out there. And right now we don't have that. I'll give you guys a prime example. Let me throw one thing out there. I've compared fishing to a lot of different sports out there, but if many of you guys out there have ever bowled competitively, like in a league, you know what I'm talking about. If you bowled back in the late 70s and early 80s, back then you had rubber or plastic balls, and you had wood lanes. And it was, if you could average 200 or get a 600 series for 3 games in bowling, you were considered basically a pro at that point. It was difficult to do that, and 300 games, perfect games, even amongst the professional bowlers tour back in the late 70s, was extremely rare. Very once in a while that you'd see one throughout the whole season. Now, if you watch the pro bowlers tour, they've got all these urethane lanes. They got the lanes are not wood anymore. They got these urethane balls that just, generate so much more power and strike ability out there. And 300 games anymore are a dime a dozen. It's like every single week when they have a PBA tournament, there's lots of 300 games that we never had before. And that diminishes the value of a 300 game simply because of the technology advancements in bowling that allowed bowlers to become that much better. It's the same in fishing out there. It's the same with, these exaggerated weights, or some of these tournaments they go to, like Lake Fork, where they catch these giant, bags of fish, spotlight for bass. It's the same deal. It diminishes the true foundation and heritage and, just everything that made the sport great, prior to forward-facing sonar era. But anyway, guys, to answer my question, no, there is not going to get another tournament won flipping until forward-facing sonar is gone. It's like, I don't care if a lake is flooded out 20 feet over normal and it's a mud pit, somebody is still going to catch them spotlighting out there. So let me know what you guys think. I'd be curious to hear your opinion. We'll talk later. See you.